Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you're new here, and welcome back to another video. So basically I'm going to a Comic-Con again and taking a train yet again for the Comic-Con. I feel like I've been going to one pretty much every month in the year 2025 so far. It's definitely going to start slowing down because I have no scheduled cons for May, June, July, or August. So it's going to be calming down a bit. But I wanted to make sure I had a video that I could edit on the train. I say as if I haven't slept for most of the last train rides I've been on. I don't even know how I do it, like it's so uncomfortable and I just like conk out. But I wanted to give myself an option of having a video to edit, so that's why we're filming this right now. I only have like 15 minutes to film this, so we're gonna do a really short book tag. I'm gonna be doing the Disney song book tag. I sort of have a hyperfixation yet again on Disney parks and their rides. I swear it happens like once a year, and I think it's in part because I just booked my Disneyland trip ticket for June, so I'm really excited for that. That's why I have no cons in June, because I am doing an LA trip. So basically this is just a short tag in which there is different questions inspired by different songs from the Disney films. The first question is, part of your world, what book world would you change yourself for so you could be a part of that world? Honestly, right now the one that's really on my brain, and it's been sort of like a comfort for me, like the world has been a comfort for me, that like I like to picture myself in fictional worlds while I'm trying to fall asleep, because I find it's a good, like, I don't know, it's just imagining it just helps me fall asleep, you know, and imagining the like what ifs of the situation. And the current one for that is the world in Crescent City. Now it's not a perfect world, but I think with some tweaks and some revolutions that are happening in the series, I think the world could be a lot better. So basically the first book in the series is House of Earth and Blood, and the second book is House of Sky and Breath. I always forget what the second book is called, which is so bad because I'm like 500 pages through it. It's like an 800-page book. It's a huge commitment, which I think is part of the reason I want to be a part of it so much, because I'm so invested in this series right now. And I got to a part in the book tonight where there is a ship, an underwater ship, and the way it's described is everything. I want to be in that ship, and there's so much about this world that I love. I honestly don't know what species I would want to be in this world. I feel like each species has major flaws, but I'd want to say probably Fae. I don't like the idea of being like part of a wolf pack, so I wouldn't do that. I mean, shifting sounds cool, but just Fae sounds so majestic in this world, specifically with how it's described. So this series, in case you don't know, is about this girl named Bryce, and Bryce has a best friend who is killed very early on in the first book, and they think they catch the killer initially. However, 2 years after her best friend was killed, murders start up again that look very similar to the murder that happened to Bryce's best friend. So Bryce gets pulled into this investigation into figuring out who is the actual murderer. Things get really intense after that. There is a romance, of course, because the series is by Sarah J. Maas. She writes romanticises. I love it so much. I found that you really have to push through like the first 300 pages, I'd say, of the first book in order for you to like fully become invested and sucked in, but I'm loving it so much. The next prompt is, let it go. What book did you not want to finish because you loved it so much? Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, of course. So I love the Hunger Games series. I feel like this is a given lots of things about who I am. I mean, look, that's literally a print from a dystopian series. That's an art print that Mary Lou made from the Legend series. So basically, I wasn't a huge fan of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and like I had very mixed feelings on it, and didn't feel like it was like living up to the original Hunger Games trilogy. I read Sunrise on the Reaping, and immediately I was like, oh my god, this is what I wanted Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes to be, because it was like I was reading a new addition to the main series, and it felt exactly like the writing style that I liked. It felt like characters that I could love, which I felt like was very lacking in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I just loved it so much. And there were so many new tidbits of information that we got about characters from the main trilogy that just made my heart so happy, and I just wanted so much. And like, I wouldn't have cared if that one was like an 800-page book that like lengthen things exponentially, because I was so in love with it and I didn't want to finish it, but I had to finish it, and so I did finish it. I finished it pretty quickly, but honestly, first 5-star read of the year, and it's a very deserving 5-star read. It was so good. The next prompt is Beauty and the Beast. What book do you think is/will be timeless? And I'm gonna go with one right now that isn't actually popular, but it's one that I feel like may be rediscovered much later on and get much more attention focused on it, and that's Brown Girl Dreaming. I think as the world progresses and as time changes, this will be a book that people will come back to and rediscover and see how timeless it is and how important it is. Brown Girl Dreaming is by Jacqueline Woodson. I highly recommend her books. I have read 4 of her books so far. I have loved all of them. So she writes a wide variety of books. She writes adult books, she writes young adult, she writes children's books, she writes pictures books, and they star a lot of Black characters, and some have like a historical setting, some have more of a modern setting, and there's so many different elements to it. So Brown Girl Dreaming is written in verse, so it is a very unique writing style. It's a very unique genre of writing that I think works really well, and it's based on her life growing up as a Black girl in America. And I think that it's a really important and impactful story, and I think it's one that people should definitely read, especially if you're looking to add more diversity to your shelves, both in the characters and in the experience that they go through, and also in the genre and style of writing, because as I said, it's written in verse. Then I think that this is a great one to add to your shelf. And then the next prompt is, so this is love. What book were you hesitant to read at first but ended up loving? I was very hesitant to read 5 Feet Apart. I don't remember the authors off the top of my head, but I have my laptop here, so let's pull them up. So there is multiple authors as a part of this. Rachel Lippincott is the one that I know most because I have read more of Rachel's books and I really like them. The other 2 authors are Mika Daughtry and Tobias Econis. I never know how to say it, Tobias's last name. So basically, I was scared to read this one because I knew that it would have a really big impact on me, and I knew that it would be depressing. I mean, the premise is 2 characters falling in love who both have cystic fibrosis, and because they both have cystic fibrosis, they can't get within 6 feet of each other, because if you get within 6 feet of someone with cystic fibrosis, so if 2 cystic fibrosis patients were to get within 6 feet of each other, they risk being exposed to the infection that is in the other patient's lungs, and that could be deadly, and it can be deadly really fast. This is a very intense and hard to read book at times, so I was like nervous to read it because I wasn't even sure if I was like mentally prepared to like handle the book at the time that I read it, but I immediately fell in love with it. I read it so fast. I think I read it over the course of 2 or 3 days. It was just such a phenomenal book. I love it so much. Next up is Friend Like Me. Which character would you like to be your best friend? Honestly, there's a ton of characters who I'd like to be my best friend, but for this I'm gonna go with Luna from the Harry Potter series. So first of all, I obviously love Luna, and I feel like we're a little bit of kindred spirits in some sense. I feel like we both... Would it be bad if I said I just feel like we're both neurodivergent, and I feel like we just have personalities that would mesh well? Is that bad? Could be bad. Anyways, I love Luna so much that I actually had a cat named after Luna. She passed in 2024, but she was such a sweetheart, and I just feel like Luna and me each have personalities where like we can just be like silly and goofy with each other, but we can also like focus and just like hyperfixate on the most random of things and just have like detailed, super lengthy discussions about those topics. And I don't know, I just feel like we blend really well. Next up is reflection. What book really made you think/change the way you viewed things? Andre and Santi Were Here by Johnny Garzavilla is one that definitely changed the way I viewed things. It is a young adult queer romance with a non-binary main character, and the reason that it really made me think and it sort of changed my perspective on a lot of different things is because it tackles the topic of illegal immigration and undocumented immigrants, and I think it just tackles it in such a very raw and honest way, and it's a perspective that I hadn't seen in books before, and this was the first time that I'd seen anything like this in a book, and I was moved to near tears a lot. I don't cry very often while reading books, so when I say I was moved to near tears, it means that it had a massive impact on me. I think it's just a book that everyone should read, especially if they want to read a book that will change their perspective on things, specifically on immigration. And there is a lot of themes of art in there that I think is just beautifully well done. The characters are Hispanic, and there's a lot of Hispanic culture woven in there. It's just such a beautiful book. I highly recommend it. I read a bound manuscript version of the book years ago, and I feel like I need to get a finished copy finally and read it and see if there's any changes made, because it was a book that like really had a huge impact on me, and I've only read the manuscript. Like, I need to get better at this, at reading books after they're published, because I feel like so many times I get like an arc or like a manuscript and I just like don't go and get the finished book and read it, but I feel like I need to change that. Maybe that will be a goal for next year. And the final prompt is Colors of the Wind. Who do you tag? I don't tag people in videos often, so I'm not going to do it right now. I think it's because like my self-esteem is so low that I don't tag people, because I feel like people don't watch my videos very much. Like that's what I feel. And so like I have friends that like I'd want to tag that I consider as like mutuals or I consider as like internet friends, and then my brain is like, but you don't get many views, they're not watching your video, and could just be my low self-esteem. But anyways, it is what it is. But if you want to do this tag, all of the questions will be linked down in the description below. You can consider yourself tagged by me if you'd like to do this tag. This is a really fun tag, and I don't actually have the tag creator off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find the tag creator. Ooh, okay, I found the tag creator, Aria's Books. There's the tag creator. I don't actually know if that's a booktuber or a book blogger. I'll have to look into that. But I will find Aria's Books, and I will link them down in the description below. Okay, it's late. I need to go get some sleep, but if you would like to stick around for more videos, I try and upload a video at least once a week. I also have a Bookstagram and BookTok, and I have like a cosplay Instagram and cosplay TikTok, and just a bunch of other fun stuff that will be linked down in the description below. I hope all of you are having a great week, and I will see all of you in my next video. Until next time, goodbye.